I can't see the countdown.
All right, Shane, we're live. Go ahead.
Beautiful. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to your favorite presentation of the evening. My name is Shane Arsenault, and I'm here with St. Francis Xavier University. So we'll get into it pretty quickly. We've got a half an hour to sort of breeze through what I call the greatest hits that StFX has to offer you, and then we'll do some questions at the end. My name is Shane. As I said, I graduated from StFX in 2019 with a BBA in Management and Leadership, and I'm a student success leader. It's just a fancy name for recruiter. Coming to university it's new and it's exciting, and that's great, but it's also something different, right? Just because you're a good high school student doesn't mean you should expect yourself to know the ropes of how to come into university and how our system operates. So I'm here to kind of help translate that for you and make sure that your transition from high school to university is super easy. I meet with students and their parents all the time, sometimes as much times between the time they apply and the time they come here. So whenever I meet students on campus and welcome day, it's always pretty cool because it's like, oh, I remember you. So first of all, where the heck is StFX? So we're located in Eastern Canada, in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. We're about a 2-hour drive from the airport, and we're about a half an hour from famous Cape Breton Island. So if you're from outside of Nova Scotia, this means you fly to Halifax, and then there's a bus that will take you straight to StFX. Antigonish is very unique, especially when compared to other university areas. So first of all, we're a town. And we're not just a town, we're a small town. 5,000 people here, and there's 5,000 students as well. So small. There's 5,000 people living in the town, but it's a hub for about 25,000. So you still have all those major amenities, your grocery chains, there's a regional hospital here. So it's small town, by no means like middle of nowhere small. Because students are half of the demographic here, the stuff that's downtown is kind of for you, right? So think, if students are half the market, the businesses downtown, the restaurants downtown, the breweries downtown once you're 19, they are all there to serve you as a student, and that's really cool. So the town sort of surrounds the university. When you're on campus, you are on campus. There's no busing between classes. You can walk across the town in about an hour and a half, and you can walk across campus in about 10 minutes. Also, Antigonish is surrounded by beautiful beaches, about pretty well 10 minutes in every direction. And here's a little video to walk you through what that looks like. So we can get that going. All right, so clearly we are a destination university. It's a postcard town. In the summer, half the people in our town are tourists who are escaping the big city to slow down on the East Coast. And it is a wonderful, homey place to spend your undergraduate degree. So why StFX? That's Antigonish, but why StFX? Now, first of all, for an undergraduate degree, at the bigger schools in Canada, when you're sitting in a class, you can be going from 400 to 500, sometimes 600 students in your class. which if you're coming from high school with a 20-person or 30-person classroom, that's extremely daunting. If you're the type of person to put your hand up and ask a question in class, you're much less likely to learn the way that you like to learn in a massive lecture hall. So average class size at St. FX across all 4 years, 39. In fourth year, I had a class that was as small as 8. It was 8 of us. We sat in a circle. A professor who was an executive with Bombardier was just like spewing knowledge at us and like sharing his wisdom. And like, I still know my professors extremely well. We're number one in the country in professors knowing their students by name. And that's like it feels nice. Like you're welcome into class and the professor will call you by name when you have a question. If you see them in the hallways, they'll be like, "Hey Shane, what's up? How's it going?" That's valuable. But also the professors hours. So like they will sit in their office and wait for you to show up and wait for you to come by with questions. And they'll say, "Hey Shane, like how you doing?" And I'll say, "Well, like I have some questions about this material," and they have time for you. Like that is so special at the university level. It does not happen many places. It happens at St. FX. The third reason why that's super key, and I know this is hard to think about now because most of you are in grade 12 and it's like, "Well, Shane, I just started grade 12." But hear me out. When you graduate from university, you're either going to do more school or you're going to go for a job with your degree. For either one of those paths, you're going to need reference letters. And to have 4-year relationships with people with PhDs, with doctors, with professors, that is an incredible network that is walking behind you and saying, "You know what, you got to hire this person," or "Do you know what, you got to accept this girl into your med school." It's just a fantastic foundation. And that's what an undergraduate degree should be. We rank number one in Canada in student satisfaction, right? So there's the proof. The proof is in the pudding. Our students are from not just Nova Scotia, they're from Toronto, they're from Vancouver, they're from Calgary, they're from New York, they're from Boston, they're from England, they're from Germany. We have people from around the world, and if they had a time in small rural Nova Scotia, we would not be ranked number one, but we are. So we focus on the undergraduate level. Whether you want to be a teacher, doctor, lawyer, whatever it is, the first degree that you get is that undergraduate degree. So we have a faculty of arts, a faculty of business, faculty of science. We have some cool ones that are kind of combined in arts and science. And it's important to note that we have an incredibly strong co-op program as well. So in arts, there's over 20 different majors to choose from, all the classics, your philosophies, your political science. We have a brand new public policy and governance program, which is really cool. This is like applied political science. Graduates from St. FX's political science and public policy programs have gone on to be the prime ministers of Canada. That's correct. We have produced a prime minister, Brian Mulroney, prime minister for a decade in the 80s. The current minister of immigration, Sean Fraser. He's from down the road from me. He went to St. FX. He had a phenomenal time in the student union here, and he got his start in our Faculty of Arts program. Faculty of Science, we've got 12 majors available for you. What's really cool about this one is that you can get lab experience working alongside a professor at the undergraduate level. At bigger schools, these positions are kind of reserved for the master's students. But I know people that worked for 4 years alongside professors working with them on their research. And so when these students graduate, not only did they have a leg up on people who got an undergrad without that experience, they had these connections with their professor. So one of my buddies, Aaron, is a pretty quiet guy, shy, reserved guy, and he's a brilliant scientific mind. And in a bigger school, he might have disappeared, but at St. FX, he worked in the lab, he worked with his professor, and when he graduated, he was recommended for an internship in the Bahamas saving sea turtles. So some pretty incredible stuff. I graduated from the Gerald Schwartz School of Business. Our business program in a nutshell is really neat because it focuses on sustainable business. We align ourselves with the United Nations 7 Principles for Responsible Management, which means When we teach business at StFX, it's not just about making money. It's about making money and improving the lives of the people around the business, the stakeholders, and it's about maintaining the environment that we're on. So we're not out to destroy the planet. We're out here to trying to make it a better place. Also of note is that we have some incredible student societies in our business program. So if you're interested in finance, we have a group called the Xavier Capital Society. They manage a $500,000 portfolio on behalf of the university. Like these students are graduating not just with degrees, but with society experience and leadership experience that is fortifying those. We do offer postgraduate studies, but for right now, we're going to skip on by that. Experiential learning is huge at StFX. So we have sort of two pillars. First is service learning, both local and international. This is like service learning is essentially working with communities and working with people, boots on the ground, roll your sleeves up, get your hands dirty, helping communities. Not it's not us going in and saving per se. It's helping communities help themselves. So at the local level, I used to hop in a bus once a week and go volunteer with the local indigenous kids and play basketball after school with them until their parents got off work and picked them up. Like it could be as simple as that. Or you could go international and work with communities in rural Peru and help community build there. Education abroad, you can study across the world pretty much. A friend of mine, she did a semester in Glasgow, Scotland. And it's a popular idea because if you're the type of person willing to travel, A, you're already considering StFX because we're a destination. Here's what's tricky for us is filling those seats. We have too many of those positions available and people aren't taking them because they fall in love with StFX and they don't want to leave. I know that sounds corny, but that's the case. We have co-op available in most programs. You can do your co-op in Canada, you can do your co-op in USA, you can do co-op abroad. So let's say that you're from the Ontario area. If you wanted to work on Bay Street, right? If you wanted to work on essentially Canada's Wall Street for your co-op, you could go back to Ontario and then you can come back to StFX and wrap up your degree. Some fantastic opportunities in there. Our students are graduating and walking onto the jobs through co-op. 90% of our students live on campus in first year. We have single and double rooms available. And if you are interested in living in residence, you got to confirm your seat first. It is a first come, first served application. So if you know you're coming to StFX, and after watching this presentation, all of you will be coming to StFX, you have to confirm with us soon, because if you have a preference in how you live, we want to get you into the building that suits you the best. It's like Harry Potter, the wand chooses the wizard, right? There's a building for everybody. If you want to live in university and do that classic idea of a really busy old building with, like you've got a roommate and there are people running up and down the halls, knocking on doors, like in a fun way, like we've got that. If you want the other end of the spectrum and you want to live in a 4-star hotel with a TV mounted on the wall, side tables at your convenience, a private bathroom with a bathtub, and you get a bathrobe when you move in, we've got that too, right? So we've got it at StFX. If you want to chat residents, fire me a message. Residence culture, it's unbelievably fun. So on one side, there's like this sort of student council side of it where there's house council leadership. And on the other side, there are supports available for you, right? If you're moving, if you're open to the idea of leaving your hometown, and oftentimes the parents like to know this as well, there's people looking after you, right? So for your physical and your spiritual wellness, we have supports integrated into our residence life culture to make sure that you're not just having a good time when you're here, you're supported and you are healthy. Dining services, I love our food. There's not much to say here. We do have a Starbucks. The people from the city love to hear that because it's like, well, I'm going to rural Nova Scotia. I got to give up my Starbies. No way. We got one. Dietary accommodations, our meal hall staff is incredibly friendly. If you are allergic to 1,000 things, like a few of my friends, they'll make you a meal that you can eat, right? You just work with a registered dietitian and they will make you a meal every meal time and they can help you out. As I said before, we look after your mental, physical, and spiritual health and wellness with our Health and Wellness Counseling Center, our Diversity Engagement Center, Multi Faith and Meditation Spaces, Wellspring, which is a non-denominational space on campus. Essentially, retired nuns give you chocolate chip cookies and a warm hug when you need one. It's really, really wholesome. And fitness centers as well. We also have one of the very few gender and sexuality specialists, gender and sexuality diversity specialists in Canada on staff. That's her with the pink hair. In terms of academic support, you will be looked after. So, just as I said at the beginning, just because you're a wonderful student in high school does not should expect yourself to know exactly what to do at the university level. There's a learning curve there. We know that, and we have supports in place to help you, right? So we have a Student Success Center, which will help you learn how to write. I know it sounds funny because you're in grade 12, but you need to learn how to write for university. The Travel Center for Accessible Learning is really neat. So if you have a learning plan or an IPP or a disability with paperwork, doing exams and writing exams in really busy gymnasiums when a clock is ticking down might not be the best way for you to succeed academically. We understand that. Students with really, really severe test anxiety, for example, will have access to a space on campus where they have more time and they have people that'll help them through their exams. International student support. So if you are an international student studying in Canada, good to know that we're here for you. We have international student support in the country, number 6 globally. We can help you with things like health plan. We can help you things with like pathways to permanent residency. They have a student society. If you like barbecues, they are famous for their barbecues. And it's just know that you're going to be looked after while you're here, especially if there's going to be some cultural adjustments while you're in Canada. All right, I don't want to say that we're a jock school, but our athletics programs are unbelievable. So we're top 10 in the country in several different sports in the U Sports varsity rankings. If you're not a varsity athlete, our club sports are incredible. Like Antigonish is a sports town, right? We have 5,000 people. We have 3 ice surfaces. We have several soccer fields, baseball fields, basketball programs. You name it, we've got it. And also remember from that video how rural we are. We've got hiking trails around us. We're about an hour away from a beautiful ski hill. If you want to go for a walk on the beach, you've got that in your back pocket too, right? So keep that in mind. In terms of student leadership, we pride ourselves on our ability to produce world leaders, as evident in producing prime ministers. So these are opportunities that I highly recommend you take advantage of. Student societies, health councils, students' union, and community volunteering. If you are a student leader type, you will do exceptionally well at St. And I cannot stress that enough. If you're like that extroverted student leader, student council type person, we want you at StFX. You will have the opportunity to be a big fish in a very small pond, and your leadership will be noticed at StFX. In terms of student employment, it's a great way to offset the costs of going to university. I worked at the bus stop for 4 years, sending people back and forth to the airport. I had a great time. 1 in 4 students on campus work. Just know that there's lots of jobs available for you. Something that you're looking for whenever you're going to campus to kind of help offset those financial costs. Well, okay, so Shane, we are in love with StFX. We love it. Best presentation we've ever seen. Thank you very much. How do I get in? You apply on our website. So unlike some provincial programs where there's one application for the whole province, like OUAC, for example, in Ontario, we don't got that. We're on stfx.ca. You go there, it can minutes to apply. We're looking for a minimum average of 70% with no required grade below 65. If you're coming from Ontario, you need 6 4U courses. No more. At StFX University, you only need 5 4U courses, which means that you get to drop your lowest mark. So your average is going to skyrocket. If you're looking into business specifically, we do not need pre-cal. We do not need calculus. So we just need math for you, whether it's functions or otherwise. A lot of people like hearing that, right? You don't need pre-calculus to come to StFX business. We take IB, we do transfer credits for IB, AP. If you have a score over 30 with a 5 in all courses, you can get up to 30 transfer credits. So if you've taken those advanced courses, you will be rewarded for them at StFX. And now we're going to help you pay for it. So here's how I look at it, right? Like, StFX, small university in rural Nova Scotia, it's kind of a big ask to ask you to come here. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, the class sizes are small, but you're still moving, right? So for us to attract the top talent in Canada, which you, the viewer, you are, and wipe that smile off your face because there's a few of you here. That's a full-ride university. Entrance scholarships, if you have an 85 or above average over your 5 courses, you're automatically getting a scholarship. You do not need to apply for them. 80 or 90 or above, you get a bigger scholarship. 95 or above, you get a bigger scholarship again. There's bursaries available to you as well. So those are more based on financial need than they are on marks. And know that we accept all forms of government provincial student aid as well, right? So if you need OSAP, for example, or if you need provincial loans, we'll take the loans from your province. You can apply those to Nova Scotian education as well. Last but not least, we've got the X ring. So if you haven't heard of StFX, you may have seen these around. As per Jeopardy, this is the 3rd most recognized ring on earth, behind the Pope's ring and the Super Bowl ring. And it's incredible what this will do for your life. I've got one on right now. I can show you when I turn my camera on. It connects you with Canada's strongest alumni network, and it does it in a really special way. So when I'm at the airport and someone sees my X ring, I'm not buying myself a cup of coffee. Someone else is buying me a coffee. Like, that's how it goes. I've met strangers in their 70s on the sidewalk who were like, "Oh, you got an X ring." And then they show me their X ring. And I've never met this person in my life. And all of a sudden, we're talking about residence and we're talking about programs. And that might sound strange, and it is strange, but it's a wonderful strange. If you think of it this way, wearing this X ring will allow you to meet other people with a shared experience of going to StFX. When you meet those people, those are connections. Connections become networks, right? Once you've got a network, those networks can turn into opportunities for you. So this X ring and an undergraduate degree will continue to provide you value for as long as you wear it, which for me is going to be the rest of my life, and most of my friends never take theirs off either. You can't find that at another undergraduate institution. To get continued value out of an undergrad is so rare. And even people who go on to do masters and PhDs and wonderful things who had their start at StFX, this is the school, this is the student experience that they talk about. In terms of key dates, our application is open. It's on our website right now. In February, we'll do some sessions, but we can kind of ignore those dates. But what I will tell you is that I'm available for in-person, if I'm in your area, or virtual meetings all the time. I love doing these. I like buying people coffee. People like having coffee bought for them. I'll meet with you. I'll meet with your parents. I'll meet with your grandparents. I don't care. Whoever needs answers and whoever needs to know more about StFX, because now that you've had this presentation, you've got that fire in you. Up to you to take that next step. I am here to make that easy for you. So let's see if I can stop sharing. There I am. Hello, and it looks like we've got a whole bunch of questions here, which is excellent because it was such a great presentation. Do we offer any cybersecurity programs? We offer a 4-year degree in computer science, which then you can use to get involved into any job in the IT sector or into cybersecurity. Of mine who did computer science and then went on to do a master's in cybersecurity from the University of Arizona. Will the session be recorded? I think so. I think our moderators have that record button going. How long until you wait to hear your outcome after you apply? Good question. So right now, we're getting a ton of applications. This is the busy time of the year. Grade 12s are all sort of making their choices and they're sending in their applications. So it's a fat stack. It's kind of a lineup. It won't take longer than 3.5 weeks to hear from us. and you will hear from us. So if you don't have an email in your inbox, like let's say you applied 2 weeks ago and it's like, oh geez, like I don't know, I haven't heard back. We'll tell you if you get in, and we'll tell you if you don't get in. So if you haven't heard from us yet, no news is not bad news. Our most competitive program, two in particular that are really competitive. Our nursing program is top tier. It's top drawer. It's S tier. It's incredible. Our provincial premier has guaranteed graduates of StFX and graduates of nursing in Nova Scotia, for that matter, a job. You're guaranteed a job whenever you graduate, and nurses make great money once they graduate. The usual cost, it depends if you're from Nova Scotia, or it depends if you're from Canada, or it depends if you're international. Roughly about 10 grand, and about double that for international students. What type of academic supports are there on campus? So I believe I went into that in the presentation, but I can just sort of remind you as well. So if you have a learning disability, we've got specific supports for you with a wonderful staff of people that can help you learn the best way that you can learn on campus, and help you test the best way that you can test. In terms of academic supports outside of that, your professors are available to you. They have office hours, right? So you can swing by. I used to swing by to my professor's office with questions about business math, and he sat down and worked with me one-on-one. There's tutors available on campus. It's usually like fourth-year students that are doing it kind of as a side hustle. And we have the Student Success Center as well. So they'll help you learn how to write papers. It's said that if you use that setup, the Student Success Center, 3 times for one paper, your average mark goes up by 30%, 30. Okay, and we're going to keep on trucking here. Do we offer education programs? We're kind of known Canada-wide for our education programs. I don't tend to chat about them too much because it's not an undergrad, but it's incredibly common for students to come to StFX and do their undergrad and then do education here afterwards. StFX teachers get jobs. Our network is incredible. There's a ton of us in Ottawa, there's a ton of us in Toronto, there's a ton of us in Calgary. So what I said about the X ring that I promised I would show you, there's a whole lot of teachers out there with X rings. And it's well known as one of the, if not the strongest programs on campus. Does the university offer psychology under the Bachelor of Science program? Great. Yes and no. So psychology can be taken as a Bachelor of Science, or it can be taken as a Bachelor of Arts. So there's some crossover there, whether you want to learn about the societal conditions and the social sort of determinants of psychology. You can do the arts side of it, or if you want to learn about the brain specifically, you can learn the BSc. Also, touching on a previous question, one of our competitive programs is applied forensic psychology. So that's a super cool sort of concentration within psychology. Am I guaranteed the major that I'm interested in? I sure hope so. If you have the marks to get in, then you're in. If it's a competitive program, we then have to take sort of the top students. But in a non-competitive program, if you want to get into a major and you've got the marks for it, you will be in. Do you recommend sending transcripts after first semester classes are complete, or send interim marks for BSN entry? We need all of your transcripts. So if you're from Nova Scotia, you just include your provincial student ID on your application. We can pull every transcript as they come in. If you're in the province, we need everything as you get it. So we need your transcripts right now from grade 11, because most of you don't have grade 12 marks yet. And then we need proof of enrollment in the rest of your courses. So what we'll do is we'll assess you. We offer early admission. We can say, okay, well, you know, Billy Bob's got a 90 in all his grade 11 courses. He's probably going to do okay in grade 12. Are study abroad and co-op options available with the business program? Yes and yes. I have friends accounting kids tend to love co-op. That have worked with Deloitte, they've worked with Grant Thornton, Fortune 500 companies in Nova Scotia, but also in Toronto. We could send you to New York if you want to go there as well. And study abroad. I had a friend of mine who did a semester at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and she was in the business program. Do we offer co-op programs? We sure do. Co-op programs in media/communications. I'm interested to know that I'm a grade 12 student from Canada, and I'm doing a co-op placement as a marketing assistant. So if you do marketing, which is what I would recommend because I'm a business grad of StFX, we can hook you up with a marketing communications internship. Am I guaranteed the major that I'm interested in? We went there. Is MCAT required for medical school? Yes, it is. So for those of you who don't know, if you're interested in medicine, you have to take this big scary test sort of in fourth year, and then medical schools across Canada will use that to assess you for entry. Nice thing about being at a small school at StFX is that there's help available for those who ask for it. So one of my best buddies, one of my former roommates, he did the MCAT. He scored in the top 1% in the country, and every school in the country wanted him. He went to Dalhousie, and now he's going to be a doctor. So if you're interested in medicine, there are pathways for you at StFX, super common. How is your environmental science program? It's unreal. So we have a, remember in the presentation I talked about, there's this BASC combined science and arts degree. So we have a BASC, so Bachelor of Arts and Science in Climate and Environment, which is super cool. And so much like psychology looks at it this way, it's like with a BASC, you look at the social determinants of the environment and what we're living in, and you also scientific impact of what we're doing and potentially the scientific impact of what we should not be doing. It's a fantastic program. It's relatively new. Super cool. The professors are amazing, and there's co-op available in that as well. So if you're a world-saving type of person, you've got that little voice in your head that's like, I want to make the world a better place. Climate and environment at StFX. What MCAT score is required to attend med school? I don't know. Truth be told, StFX doesn't have a med school, right? So we are an undergraduate degree. You do your undergraduate degree, and then if you want to be a doctor, you do your medical degree. We can help you get there. I can certainly find that information for you. If you send me an email, I can hook you up with someone who's looking at that right now, and maybe potentially the supports that are available to them as well. But we don't have it, so I don't know the requirements. What is this university recognized for? Good question. Student satisfaction, right? So as per Maclean's magazine, we're number one in the country in students being satisfied with their school. That's huge. So that means that when you go home for the holidays in December, whatever it is you celebrate, and your parents and your neighbors and your uncles or whatever is pestering you, they're going to ask you three things about going to school at StFX. They're going to say, have of your life? I don't know. I don't care. Is it cold? We get that a lot. If you got 20 centimeters in Ontario, we got 25. You're still in Canada, right? You're getting a Canadian education. We have winter. We have 4 seasons here, 4 strong seasons. And they're going to ask you if you like it. Right? So if you like school. And studies show, as per Maclean's, you're more likely to say, yeah, I like it, than someone else going anywhere. So it's what are we known for? We're known for students really embracing their university. Do you get many mature students? Absolutely, we get mature students. Don't be afraid to apply if you aren't coming straight from high school. My mom's an educator, and she always told me when I was a kid, there's no emergencies in education. It's a primarily undergraduate school, and the demographic is going to reflect that, right? Like it's mostly people in their young 20s, but there's plenty of folks who are, for me, if we can find you the right program, let's get you in there, right? Can you please tell the tuition fee of undergrad in computer science for an international student? You'd be looking around the 20 mark, around the 18 to 21 mark. I don't have the exact figure right in front of me, but I can certainly go over that in more detail with you. If you send me a private message, we can chat a little bit about how to get you in, and we out a budget for you as well. I hope that helps, Anonymous. I know it's not a perfect answer, but off the cuff, that's what I got for you. Okay. What else do we got here, folks? What else can I do for you? I know that's a ton of information at once. I get it. That's why you're here, right? So I don't expect you to remember everything from the presentation. There's no quiz. I wish there was. With StFX, we're top in student satisfaction, small town, Nova Scotia, and small classroom sizes. Your professors know you. It's hard to walk across campus with headphones on because your friends will consistently stop you along the way. Like when you're on campus, you're on campus. Also, it's a stunning campus. People compare it to Harvard, and that's no joke. I had someone compare it to Harvard when I did a tour with them a couple of days ago. It is a beautiful place to be. It's a warm, kind of fuzzy place. And when you're in the town of Antigonish, it's like old people who will smile at you on the sidewalk. At first, that'll be weird, but then it's kind of nice. What other questions you got for me? Thanks, Caitlin. I know we're just slightly over time here, so I do want to thank you as well for taking time to come here and to learn more about StFX. Like I said, fire me a message, and I will be there to meet with you one-on-one virtually, meet with you one-on-one in person if we can. Like I said, I like to buy families coffee, so if you or your folks are coffee drinkers, just let me know. And if you want to learn more about things like, specific program, the next steps, how to apply, right? Remember, right now, we apply on our website, right? And we will share the links following the fair. Wonderful. Thank you. And okay, that's all I got for you folks. Again, thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of the fair, but you'll remember StFX. I know you will.